I'm glad we're all hanging in here together and just being interested in stuff, you know? That's always fun. It's fun to be interested in stuff. Hey, everybody, this is Coby back again. Coby, thanks. I've been saying that I'm working on this video for a while, and I have been working on this video for a while, but I'm just now filming it. And that is because this actually took, I did more research on this than I do on most of my conspiracy videos, because with what I do when I do a video about one of these conspiracies, I don't do like a huge deep dive. I'm not doing video essays. All I'm doing is I'm looking at where the conspiracy came from, why people are asking these questions and putting out these theories in the first place. Because a lot of times that gives you credence into like sometimes we don't need to be asking these questions because there is no origin of them or none that are based in anything that is worth looking deeper into. I'm not saying that in like a weird way. I'm saying sometimes it's because people were super racist back in the day, but now people think that there's lizard people controlling the earth, and that's not true. I always use that as my my touchstone for what is and is not just like reality and everything. Like, because I love conspiracies. I'm willing to go down these deep dives, but if it's founded on like racism or sexism or classism, then I don't really want to go down the deep dive in the first place because it's just bullshit. So I'm doing another one of these. Pretty excited to be doing it. But the one that I'm doing today, basically how I pick what conspiracy that I'm gonna do these about is I have like this list. There was like an iceberg, and so I took the iceberg, and that's my list. And sometimes I just throw a random dart, and if the one it hits piques my fancy at the time, then I'll research it, be like, why are we asking about this? What are we doing? And this one was just listed on the iceberg as national park closures. And as far as I can find from this, is a National Geographic article. Actually spelled out kind of the history of these for me. I kind of thought like this article is labeled everything you need to know about the national park closures, and I thought this was just going to be a gold mine. And it said that in 1995 and 1996, every single national park closed. That's uh, all facilities, which are trails, visitor centers, hiking paths, like national, like parks like Zion, Yellowstone, all those type things. All of those are closed. You cannot go in. There will be law enforcement present at the entrances, especially in like the developed areas of them, so you can't go in. And that's like the fact that we have enough like police in the country to stop these people from going into these giant parks is crazy to me. And then once again in 2013 this happened, and it didn't happen at all in between then. I couldn't find. I think they might have closed since then, but all the articles I could find were kind of referring to a bunch of questions that started being asked around the 2013 closures. The Affordable Care Act cited 401 deaths within national parks as a reason for closing literally everything down. Basically, like the federal government was like, wow, a bunch of people are dying here. Guess we gotta close it. When the everything you need to know about them that the National Geographic said, that's the only reference it made to why. It answered all these questions about how, when, where, what about my vacation? And that kind of put me on the state like, maybe I need to go a little bit past like National Geographic, which I was already going to do. I'm gonna get into other articles that I found as well later, but just kind of made me think that the reasons for the entire national park like system being closed down is more on a need to know basis, which already kind of puts forth uh the idea that maybe uh there's some secrets, and that's fine. I expect the government to keep secrets from me. I don't know want them to tell me everything they're doing because honestly, I don't have time to listen to all of that. But important things and interesting things like some of this, I would like to know. So yeah, National Geographic wasn't super helpful. They just basically said like, yeah, you can't go in there. We'll let you know when they're open again though. Have fun. Like start your scheduled vacations months out in advance, but all closed. And it's because people died, and there was just no elaboration upon those. And again, I understand National Geographic wasn't an article about the deaths, and I'm sure they wanted to be respectful. And I want to make it super clear that whenever I'm gonna like go over a conspiracy that focuses on actual like people like dying and being harmed. I don't want to put any disrespect on that. That is super serious, and they're entire people, and we sure should respect them. This is all just like speculation, trying to look into why like their like stories aren't being told, why they're not being found, why their disappearances aren't being solved, type thing. So it's not going to be any kind of disrespect on my end, and if it comes off that way, it's not as intended to be. But I wanted to put that out there before I went off the deep end, which was the next article I found called National Park Oddities, Cannibal People, Conspiracy, or Wildlife, which basically cites the fact that there are 2,727 deaths in US national parks over the past 12 years. And if I look at when this was published, sorry, I've got all these tabs up. It was in 2021. So very recently were these 2,000 deaths. Interestingly enough, in this article and basically every article I find other than the National Geographic one, it is referenced Missing 411. Now, Missing 411 is a group of cases about a specific kind of disappearance in national parks that generally go unsolved or have really, really weird, bizarre things. There's a whole lot to go over with 411. There's a bunch of different cases. A lot of them include children. A lot of them include people just vanishing and not like, and if they do turn up, they don't know how to explain where they've been, or they're too young to explain where they've been, or just bizarre circumstances with their disappearances. And there's a lot of people that have done deep dives on specifically Missing 411, so that's not something that I'm going to go over today. But basically, it's a huge subset of cases that are connected to several conspiracy theories where people just disappeared. They're just gone. And this is like obviously not, it's not a good thing. Also, like in this, like, now, in that second article, obviously the title is made to make people think like, oh, there could be cannibals in the national parks, but basically what it's trying to do is it's trying to get you to read the article. So if you read through the article, as I did, it just brings up a bunch of different theories that people have posited over why all these people are going missing in the parks. And going back to even the reason that the government stated for why the parks would close is because of these disappearances. So I am equating national park closures to be the exact same conspiracy as why people go missing in national parks and never found. And there's actually an article that touched base on why it's harder to find these people up here on that corner. And it is called, I'm going to link all of these articles in the description, by the way. How 1,600 people went missing from our public lands. It basically tells the story of someone who just disappeared completely and was later found dead in a place where he just wouldn't have gone or wouldn't have had a reason to go. And it's very sad. I read through the whole thing and I was like, man, this is upsetting. But they touch base on a few different things. When you're in a town right next to a national park, that jurisdiction, like that sheriff's department, is in a completely different jurisdiction than the national park itself. But a lot of the times, this jurisdiction just gets crossed over because the state doesn't want to deal with a missing person, the federal government doesn't want to deal with a missing person, and the county sheriff's office is probably not having the resources, manpower, time, or ability to continue going on down this road, which is why we would need things like the state police to be looking into these as well. But they wouldn't do that because it's not their jurisdiction. Basically, when it comes to being lost in a national park, you're like, after the time where they decide that you're probably dead, if you get found by hikers 10 years later, that's basically how you are going to be found. But if you go off the grid, somewhere where nobody knows where you are and nobody ever really goes, and then you go missing, it seems like the odds of you ever being found or rescued are very slim because of this. And I feel like that's a huge issue because there's just a whole lot of like public land and like national parks and stuff just all across everywhere, and that's a huge just failing, I feel like, on our part. And then there's the supernatural corner, which is very deeply connected to the missing 411, just because of the kind of unexplained things. Now, the supernatural aspect of this, once again, I want to say everyone that has like gone missing, like been hurt, or been lost, or killed in a national park, all the respect to them. But when things are just not explained and not solved and happen under weird circumstances, people are always going to point at supernatural things to explain those. And I believe in the supernatural. I believe in UFOs. I believe in ghosts. I believe in aliens. I believe in Bigfoot. I believe in Mothman. All that. But I also know when something is one thing and when it might be another thing. I can make that distinction. Now, a lot of these are about people that just completely go off the grid, like people who are just never found again. UFOs, abducted. What else do I have on here? Portals. People think there may be portals to other dimensions in the woods. There's a whole different subset of like the stairs in the woods. If you ever see just a freestanding staircase in the woods, don't go near it. I would love to climb on stairs in the woods. If I ever was just in the woods and there was nothing around except trees and a set of standing stairs without a house, I would definitely climb the stairs. Even though I've heard all the stories about people who just fucking die or go missing or like go crazy. I just I just like climbing on old things. I'm a risk. I'm at risk. This is why I could never go to the woods. I love the woods though. I'm a very outdoorsy. This is all problems. I'm just a problem. I would just love to climb stairs in the woods. Um but yeah, don't climb stairs in the woods is the moral of this story. Now, Hollow Earth is another thing that I've seen connected to it, which is basically people think that the Earth is hollow. I, being a huge geology nerd, don't think this is true. Mostly just because, I don't know. It could be true, and it'd be crazy if it was true. Like, seismographs and all that have told us that's probably not true, but they think that the huge cave systems under the United States all lead back to Hollow Earth. And that being said, there's a lot of cave systems under the United States. So a lot of people that go missing might have just like, oh, let's look in this cave over here. Fall 300 feet to their death. Now they're in a cave, and no one will ever find them. And then of course like the classics like Bigfoot, Mothman. I don't know what Bigfoot or Mothman would want to do with a person if they kidnapped them, but but like if they're out there, they might as well like nobody can prove they exist. How would they prove that they committed a murder? You know what I mean? Kind of concisely, whenever the government does something and doesn't tell us why, I'm inclined to believe that there's shady business going on. Whether this is like Area 51 and they have aliens there, or maybe they just have a military base there, or maybe there's some other thing in there that they just don't want us around. Who's to say? But a lot of things about this. First of all, the government has acknowledged that it's a thing because it's government facilities and things. And they said, we're shutting this down. The government has acknowledged that it is connected to at least 401 deaths, which, looking at the differences between the numbers they cite and the number that the missing 401 cases cites, do they know something about those specific 401 deaths that are different than all of these other crazy um occurrences? I would like to know how they decided which deaths to cite. Or maybe they were just taking a chunk of them. Who really knows? Um, but I'm always inclined to believe that the government is just definitely lying to us because they do that. We know they do that. And at this point in my research, like I said, I'm not a deep diver. I don't have the resources or time or energy, quite frankly, to do huge deep dives because like this isn't I do these videos for fun. This isn't my job. I have a full-time job. I just do this at 2 a.m. on a Friday night. That's what I'm doing today. Um And basically, I found enough to like agree. All the people wanting to know why this is a thing, which is basically the crux of every single conspiracy about this, is people trying to figure out why these would close, why all these people are going missing, and why, if the government knows something about this area, why would they not tell us that to keep us away? I don't know. I don't know. Uh, I'm not in the government, so I don't know. Yeah, missing 411 is connected to basically everything I found about this. Looked into a Reddit post, I looked into articles, I looked into all these different things. All of those will be linked in the description. Um, and there's a lot more to missing 411 than I kind of expected there to be about like a little like, oh, then all the national parks closed. I wonder why that is. All conspiracies are bigger than I expect them to be. I just need to stop having expectations going into this. Um, but with Missing 411 specifically, I might do a video tour on them. I know other YouTubers, like I watched Wendigoon's video on them. I know other YouTubers have also done videos on Missing 411. I would highly suggest checking those out. Conspiracies rooted in the closing of the national parks and the disappearances that the government cites as reasoning is valid and certainly something that you can fall into a rabbit hole of if you let yourself. That being said, please show the missing people respect. If you do cite them in your conspiracies, that is always like a foremost thing. But other than that, I'm not going to say to show the government respect because the government doesn't respect me. And yeah, that's all I'll say on that. But yeah, this is the fourth conspiracy video that I've done now. I did the Illuminati, which I have said plenty of times. Just don't. Just stop. Just please just stop. Just stop with that. I've done Birds Aren't Real, which is just fun. Just a fun money grab by some bored teenager, and I'm here for that. And I did the Denver International Airport, which is actually really, really interesting and something I want to look into more in my free time. And now I've done the national park closures. But yeah, that is going to be the video for today. I do have a couple projects coming up on the horizon. One of them, which is my first music EP of 5 songs. That's going to be coming out later in December this year in 2022. As long as I can get everything done, and if it's not in December, it'll be January. So it'll be in the next couple months anyway. Check out my merch. That'll also be linked in the description below. Check out my other videos. If this is the first conspiracy video of mine you've watched, let it be known. I've gotten better at doing research and filming these since the Illuminati one. Um, and if you want to check out my other weird videos where I just talk about things like ghosts and shoes and like reality and shit, then go ahead and do that. But go ahead and leave a like if you liked it, comment if you have any other knowledge about this, or if you have any theories. I would love to hear them. I would love that. I would love to hear your theories. Um, and yeah, but that is about everything for today. So, as always, hasta la pasta. I'll see you next time.